This session will have 2 presentations and we'll have a live discussions after that. The first presenter is Dr. Sébastien Morin.
Hi everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Sébastien Morin and I work for the Medicines Patent Pool. I will talk to you today about many things you need to know regarding public health licensing and access to medicines in Africa. But before starting, I'd like to thank the organizers of Interest 2020 for placing a high emphasis on access to medicines through this session. So this is the outline of my presentation. First of all, we have to understand that access to medicines is a multidimensional challenge. It includes, of course, availability and affordability, but also other aspects such as acceptability, adaptability of the medicines, and quality. And we think that public health licensing can help in all of these aspects. The main questions that one may ask when thinking about access to medicines is, when and how can generic competition drive prices down? And there are 3 cases I'll show here. The first case is when a product may not be patented in a country, and that's the case, for example, for raltegravir and other HIV medicines in many African countries. The second case is when a product patent may have expired, been withdrawn or revoked, and that's the case for older medicines on the WHO EML for which patents have expired. And the third case is about licenses being granted that enable generic entry, even though there may be patents in place. And that's the case for public health voluntary licenses granted to the MPP for a number of HIV and hepatitis C medicines, which are WHO recommended. Now let's talk about public health licensing. So the Medicines Patent Pool is the first and in fact the only public health licensing mechanism in place. It's been set up in 2010 by Unitate, and I'll show a short movie here that explains its model.
Disease experts, civil society, patient groups, and the World Health Organization help identify treatment needs and prioritize medicines. The MPP negotiates with patent holders and signs voluntary licensing agreements for these medicines, and then licenses rights to generic companies to manufacture and distribute affordable versions in developing countries. The licenses allow generic companies the freedom to develop new treatments, such as fixed-dose combinations and special formulations for children. Competition among low-cost manufacturers brings prices down, and more people gain access to the medicines they need.
All right, so here's another way of looking at the MPP model in a very summarized way. So MPP will get licenses from patent holders on the left, and then will select a number of generic manufacturers to rapidly develop the medicine's license and really strengthen generic competition such that low prices will be practiced that get people in low and middle income countries access to those medicines. So public health licensing is really about affordable, quality assured medicines. And there are many features of the licenses that have a public health perspective. First, the wide and geographical scope, the non-exclusivity, transparency of the licenses, strict quality assurance policies in place, complementarity with other mechanisms, waivers for data exclusivity that will help with registration, and technology transfer that can be included to accelerate development. There's another aspect which is a little less known, which is license management. And when we think about public health licensing, we often think about the licenses being signed, and that's really the tip of the iceberg. But there's a lot of follow-up, longer-term work being practiced over many years, in fact, during the entire life of the license, around license management with regards to selecting the appropriate generic manufacturers, helping them in their development, investment, and decisions, make sure we monitor these progresses and including regulatory filings, as well as ensure compliance with the licenses and track any issues that may arise, such as with quality. In fact, license management really helps build stronger competition faster. And in turn, this has really beneficial consequences for governments and treatment providers with lowering the cost of optimal medicines, allowing them to work within their budget constraints, and allowing access for communities in need. The MPP has built a large public health license pool in different areas of work, HIV in particular, but also hepatitis C and TB. And we've also built a large pharmaceutical manufacturer network with patent holders and several generic companies across different countries. And these companies together at the moment are working on more than 150 development projects. So let's look at a couple of examples of licenses in action. So first, I'd like to start with the well-known case study of the generic dolutegravir products. So in 2013, the FDA approved dolutegravir. Less than a year later, HIV got a license for this product. And 3 years after that, the first generic version of the fixed-dose combination TLD was FDA approved. At the same time, partners were negotiating prices with generic manufacturers to really fast-track the first elements of generic competition and price decreases such that uptake would be happening faster. And since then, uptake has been scaled up and accelerated. Prices have decayed further, and there are soon going to be also adapted pediatric formulations of dolutegravir reaching the market. So a very fast and impressive story. Here's a couple of pictures showing access on the African continent. On the left, in green, dark and light, are all the countries that can get access to generic dolutegravir-based products. It's basically all of Africa. And supplies have been given for DTG single and TLD across a very large number of African countries to date. And this data dates from June 2020 and is being updated as we speak. So when we look at the uptake, we can see that scale-up has accelerated over the last year. And in fact, the top 14 volume countries are all based in Africa, with most of these being supplied with a much larger amount of TLD, with DTG being used for TB co-infection and second line. Now let's look at a couple of other examples. Access to generic lopinavir, ritonavir products. Again, all of Africa can benefit from access to generics through MPP licenses. Adult supplies have been widely scaled up in Africa, as well as pediatric versions. Here we show data for the pellets only, for which we have visibility on. And there's a similar picture with atazanavir, ritonavir supplies as well, which have been broadly scaled up in Africa. Now, looking at hepatitis C treatment, sofosbuvir and aclatasvir products. So MPP has a license for the aclatasvir, and there's a bilateral license from Gilead on sofosbuvir. And these licenses together give access to all of the African continent to those products. DAC single supplies have started to be scaled up in Africa in a number of countries, with registrations happening in a larger number of countries as well. And soft-DAC co-pack or co-formulation are also starting to be scaled up. But in fact, the scale-up in Africa remains limited, and there's an important opportunity that countries should look into, which is the opportunity to benefit from negotiated prices from international procurement agencies, even when using domestic funds. And that's the case with Global Fund, UNDP, GPRO, or IDA Foundation, for example. Now, looking at TB, because this is, of course, an access to medicine and also TB session, MPP has a TB license for cetezolid, which is a candidate medicine in the pipeline in phase 2. And we also have prioritized for in-licensing the MDR-TB medicine, bedaquiline, which has been recommended by the WHO as the backbone for all oral MDR-TB treatments. And we believe in that space that MPP can really have an impact in enabling quality, affordable, generic supplies in a sustainable way for this important medicine. So now looking at the impact of public health licensing, what we can see is that there's almost 39 million patient years of treatment having been provided through MPP licenses. This equals to 14.5 billion doses delivered, large price drops compared to the counterfactual scenarios, which would have been tiered prices or other agreements to allow generic entry. And in fact, MPP has potentially saved $1.7 billion since its inception. We're also looking at trying to quantify public health impact in terms of mortality, but also quality of life of people benefiting from most optimal formulations. And this is work in progress. So now I'd like to show you a couple of access to medicines tools. I think these tools are very important for treatment advocates, clinicians, procurement agencies, but also governments trying to understand what is accessible where. So first of all is the Medicines, Patents, and Licenses database, MedsPal. This is a database that covers all the LMICs with patent and license information for more than 100 medicines, more than 200 formulations for HIV, hepatitis B and C, TB, other essential medicines on the WHO EML. And very recently, we've started adding COVID-19 candidate medicines reaching phase 3 and some of those reaching phase 2 as well. We also have an access to medicine tracker table, which looks at MPP licensed products, in particular, giving information on the development stages and approval status with pending approvals, but also stringent regulatory approvals, as well as country information where, with regards to where products may have been filed, approved, or supplied already. This information is updated quarterly and freely available on our website. And very recently, we've started rolling out a new tool, which we're very excited about, combining the tracker table that I've shown before with information from MedsPal and giving a world map view of access at the country level with regards to opportunities. So where is access possible? So that's patent and license information, but also where is the drug getting into the countries? And that's registration and supply status. And there's possibility to look at individual countries, but also look at different times with the slider at the bottom of this map. Moving forward, there's a number of areas of interest for MPP. First, the mandate has been expanded in the last couple of years. It now covers HIV, hepatitis C, TB medicines, but also medicines that are patented and are on the WHO EML, as well as patented medicines of potential for future inclusion in the EML. And recently, we've also added COVID-19 health technologies as part of our mandate. We're also quite interested in the next frontier, which is here talking about the long-acting treatments, not only in HIV, but also in other disease areas, and looking at not only combinations of these products, so real uses that are progressing, but how the technologies can be used more broadly, and what are the patents, what is the patent landscape, and what are the access questions that we should ask ourselves already for these products, and the opportunities to really benefit from most of these products. The last thing I'd like to cover is our really dedicated efforts to address children's needs with regards to the development of optimal adapted formulations for the kids. And we're proud to be part of the Global Accelerator for Pediatric Formulations, where we help coordination with pharmaceutical companies with regards to prioritize pediatric drug formulations. Very importantly, MPP licensees will soon be able to start enabling access to important new formulations for kids, the dispersible DTG and the 4-in-1 pediatric drug formulations with ritonavir. And with this, I'd like to just highlight an opportunity. Please get in touch. I'm the focal point for the African region at the MPP and the policy team. And you can really get in touch if you want to get information on access opportunities, such as what I've shown before. Tell us about your interests in rolling out MPP licensed medicines. Inform us of any issues such as stockouts, quality issues, or others. And let us know if there's any other product that you'd like to see an MPP license and where we could play a role. So you can be in touch, and my contact details are here. With this, I'd like to end and thank our funders, Unitate, but also the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. And really thank you for your attention. It's been a pleasure to be part of this conference. Thank you very much.